Canada stands at a crossroads like never before. Tensions are rising in Ottawa as powerful forces from across the globe stake their claims on our industries, our farmers, and our very sovereignty. In the heart of this storm, one warning has already shaken the nation. The United States, under Trump's leadership, is signaling clearly that its own interests come first always. The message came from none other than U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who didn't mince words when he declared that when it comes to the auto sector, it's America first, Canada second. The implication is chilling. Our tightly woven North American auto production network could be dismantled if Washington gets its way. Ontario Premier Doug Ford didn't take it lightly, calling it a massive threat. And the truth is, he's right.
U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick took a shot at Canada's auto industry. Lutnick spoke at a conference in Toronto where, behind closed doors, he reportedly told the audience that when it comes to the auto sector, it's America first, Canada second. Ontario Premier Doug Ford heard that full speech, saying it was clear Washington wants Canadian car assembly operations moved to the U.S.
I would say it's a massive threat when you have the Secretary of Commerce coming out and saying that, and the President, you'd only say it if the President gave him the green light. So we have to be prepared.
And this isn't just politics. It's an economic gauntlet thrown at Canada's feet. Every car factory, every job in the automotive sector now feels like it's on the line. Americans are laying down the law, and it's becoming increasingly clear that Canada is being pressured to play second fiddle. The stakes are higher than ever, and as Canadians watch this unfold, the question grows louder. How long can we continue to mirror Washington's aggressive policies before it costs us our own future? And yet, even as the shadow of U.S. economic dominance looms, cracks are appearing in the narrative that Canada must follow blindly. For years, Ottawa has enforced tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, trying to align with Washington, only to discover that this loyalty comes at a heavy cost. Farmers in Saskatchewan and Manitoba have felt the backlash firsthand as Beijing retaliated on canola exports, cutting off billions in potential revenue. Canada thought it was defending its interests, but in reality, we were playing a game designed by others, one that punished us while leaving American ambitions untouched. Even more pressing is the realization that this isn't just about tariffs, it's about identity. Are we a nation that bends to the pressures of superpowers, or do we finally stand tall and chart our own course? Every decision, every policy now carries weight beyond mere economics. It shapes the future of our sovereignty and our industries. The auto sector, the farms, the jobs, they all hang in the balance, while Ottawa faces a pivotal choice: continue following Washington's lead, or finally act in Canada's own interest. Canada's past decisions have left the country in a precarious position. By following Washington's lead and imposing 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, Ottawa believed it was defending Canadian industries, but the reality was far harsher. The United States, with its enormous economic clout, showed no gratitude for our alignment. Instead, Canada faced direct attacks, with threats that felt almost surreal. Warnings that we could be treated like a 51st state, that our own auto industry and key economic sectors were vulnerable to American aggression.
We got attacked. We were told we were going to be made the 51st state. We were told that they were going to go after our auto industry and our other key industries.
The consequences were immediate and painful. Farmers in Western Canada, particularly in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, bore the brunt of retaliatory tariffs on canola, a vital export that underpins local economies. The average Canadian taxpayer also felt the pressure, as subsidies were needed to mitigate the losses caused by policies Ottawa implemented to stay in step with Washington. What was intended as protectionism turned into dependency, leaving Canadians to shoulder the fallout while the U.S. pursued its own interests unimpeded. Every decision made in Ottawa now carries the weight of this hard-earned lesson. The auto industry, agriculture, and broader economic sectors are no longer merely domestic concerns, they are battlegrounds in an international game of leverage, manipulation, and survival. Canada's alignment with U.S. protectionism has left the country exposed, demonstrating that mirroring another superpower's policy is a perilous path, one that rewards loyalty but punishes independence. In this landscape, the question becomes starkly clear: how can Canada regain control of its economic destiny? How do we ensure that our policies serve Canadian interests first, rather than blindly following the whims of a more powerful neighbor? These are the challenges that Ottawa faces today, as history reminds us that the cost of inaction or of following someone else's playbook can be devastating. Amidst the pressure from Washington, a window of opportunity has emerged from an unexpected direction. China, a global superpower and a major trading partner, has presented Canada with a chance to reclaim agency over its own economy. The message is clear and unambiguous. If Canada removes its tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, China will reciprocate by removing tariffs on Canadian agricultural products, including vital canola exports.
If Canada removes the tariffs on Chinese EVs, China will then remove tariffs on Canadian agricultural products?
So if Canada removes the unilateral unjustified tariffs on Chinese products, China will also reciprocate accordingly.
This is more than diplomacy, it is strategic leverage. Canada now has the power to reopen multi-billion-dollar markets for its farmers, provide Canadian consumers with access to high-quality, affordable electric vehicles, and strengthen its domestic supply chains. The choice is no longer about simply following the US or bowing to global pressures. It is about defining Canada's own path, about turning constraints imposed by others into opportunities for growth, innovation, and sovereignty. Imagine a different vision for Canada. Chinese EV manufacturers establishing plants in Windsor, Oshawa, and Quebec, using Canadian steel, Canadian workers, and Canadian innovation. Jobs stay home. Investment flows in. Prices drop for consumers. This is how a nation defends its economy, not by imposing tariffs that drive costs up, but by creating conditions that attract opportunity and secure independence. Every decision now carries the weight of shaping Canada's identity on the world stage. A country that leads, or a country that follows. The stakes could not be higher. Ottawa must act decisively, leveraging China's offer to reclaim control over trade, agriculture, and industrial policy. This is Canada's chance to transform a period of threat and uncertainty into a moment of empowerment, where strategic action replaces dependency and vision replaces reaction. The time has come to play Canada's hand with clarity, courage, and conviction, finally asserting an agenda that serves Canadians first, before any foreign power. Canada stands at a pivotal moment where every decision reverberates across industries, farms, and households. The past years of following Washington's protectionist agenda have shown the high cost of dependency. Jobs have been threatened, farmers punished, and Canadian consumers left with higher prices while U.S. interests prospered. The warnings from Trump's administration were clear, and the economic aggression could no longer be ignored. Yet in the midst of this, the unexpected offer from China illuminates a path forward, a chance to regain control, diversify trade, and finally act in Canada's own interest. The choice is no longer theoretical. It is urgent. Maintaining tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles keeps Canada trapped in a cycle that punishes its own economy while strengthening others. By seizing China's offer, Ottawa could simultaneously open vast agricultural markets and foster a domestic EV industry, attracting investment, protecting jobs, and lowering costs for Canadians. This is the moment where strategic courage matters more than ever. Every action, from regulatory decisions to trade negotiations, has consequences that will define Canada's future for decades to come. Canada's identity is at stake. Will the country continue to mirror the policies of others, allowing superpowers to dictate its economic trajectory, or will it step forward, assert independence, and define a future that prioritizes its citizens? The road ahead is not easy. It requires bold choices, creative strategies, and the determination to place Canada's interests above all else. The time for hesitation is over. Ottawa must act decisively, turning a period of uncertainty into a historic opportunity for growth, sovereignty, and leadership in North America and beyond. The moment of decision has arrived. Canada can no longer remain trapped between the competing interests of two global superpowers. The warnings from Washington were clear: prioritize America, and Canada's industries, farmers, and workers will pay the price. Yet, the strategic offer from China reveals that a new path is possible, one where Canada takes the reins of its own destiny. By removing tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, Ottawa could unlock billions in agricultural trade, secure high-quality EVs for Canadian consumers, and attract investment that keeps jobs at home. The choice is not about favoring one nation over another. It is about putting Canada first, seizing opportunity, and asserting independence in global trade. This is Canada's moment to redefine itself, not as a follower, not as a reactive player, but as a country that sets its own terms, leads its industries, and protects its citizens. The stakes are immense, but so is the potential. By acting decisively, Canada can turn years of economic vulnerability into a future of strength, resilience, and prosperity. Every factory that remains operational, every farm that thrives, and every Canadian who benefits from this strategic shift is a testament to what leadership and courage can achieve. Now is the time for Ottawa to act. The choice has never been clearer. Continue to bow to external pressures, or step forward boldly, assert sovereignty, and shape a future that is truly Canadian. Stay informed. Stay independent. And above all, demand policies that put Canada first. Subscribe for more insights, more truth, and more analysis from the Canadian perspective, because this is Canada Vault, and the story is just beginning.